Hey everyone, Josiah here. Welcome to part 1 on how to set up our coming soon pre-order campaign, where you capture waitlist email signups first to gauge the initial demand before you open up pre-orders to capture a commitment to buy. In this first video, we'll go over everything you need to consider and plan before you launch your coming soon pre-order campaign, whether you have a Shopify store or not. Then in part 2, I'll walk you through how to set one up on Shopify without an app and how an app like ours, Early Bird, can take it to the next level when you're ready. Originally, this was meant to be a short video, but it's one of those topics where I was like, this is important, that's important. So I just kept adding more and more to my video and ended up splitting this into 2 parts, for now anyway. So I'm out for part 3 for all the FAQs I've answered before that we get, whether it be through our emails, on Reddit, on the Shopify forum, but we'll see. You can check the timestamps in the video description below to skip anything you already know, and you can jump straight to what you need. In this video, I'll be talking about what to consider before your product launch, Shopify's pre-order requirements and limitations, and then I'll briefly touch on compliance, managing your customers' expectations, pre-order fulfillment, and finally, I'll talk about the most important aspect, marketing your coming soon campaign, and I'll share some recommended readings as well. Now, with the overview out of the way, let's get started. What do you need to consider before your pre-order product launch? So it's important to decide what type of campaign suits your business best. Generally, there are 3 types of pre-orders. Number 1, coming soon pre-orders. These are typically for new product launches. Number 2, made to order or long lead time pre-orders for products that take a much longer time than usual to produce after purchase. Number 3, pre-orders for frequently sought bestsellers. Essentially, these are like back orders, but you might want to have advanced features like partial payments, auto pre-order tagging, and customizable discounts that are separate from Shopify's promo codes. Once you've decided that coming soon campaign is what you need, and you've chosen your platform, whether it be Shopify, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or maybe even WooCommerce, the next step is to decide when to start capturing pre-orders. Here are the top 3 approaches to coming soon pre-orders we've helped different Shopify merchants with. So number 1, capture as many pre-orders as possible before you order from the manufacturer. This lets you increase your MOQ, so the minimum order quantity, which can lower your cost per unit and potentially lower your raw material costs as well. Number 2, you collect email signups first, so a wait list, then you open up pre-orders closer to stock arrival. Besides gauging initial demand, this also allows you to pack orders as the stock arrives, and you can avoid double handling. So instead of shelving products, only to take them off a few days later for dispatch and shipping. Number 3, you start pre-orders when the stock is about 2 weeks from arriving at your warehouse. This is the most common but also the riskiest method for a new brand because you won't have any data, you won't know the demand. So if sales are lower than expected, you might end up sitting on dead stock, or you experience a much longer cash conversion cycle, i.e. the time it takes to turn your inventory into cash. Whichever method you choose, pre-orders will help you secure cash flow earlier so you can reinvest in areas like marketing or photo shoots sooner. Timing matters. So when should you open up your pre-orders? You should look at your lead time, so the total production and shipping time. You need to communicate this very clearly to your customers. If you're not an established brand with high product demand, it's usually safer to avoid taking pre-order payments too early. Shipping delays are almost inevitable. It's a matter of when, not if. And if customers wait too long, they may complain, or worse, they cancel their pre-orders. That's why the third method, waiting until stock is almost ready, is the most common pre-order method. But in reality, it's actually a mix of knowing your product's demand, setting clear customer expectations up front, and keeping your customers informed throughout the whole process. Now, a very underrated tactic is turning that waiting time into a marketing opportunity. Instead of seeing the long wait times for pre-orders or your sold out products as a business challenge, you can turn it into a storytelling opportunity. You explain how you thoughtfully design your products, how the products go through a very strict QA process, and then you document the journey of your product from production to arrival and use that content in your marketing. All right, here's a high-level example. So let's say your lead time is 4 weeks. You place the order with your manufacturer on May 1st, and then it's ready to ship by May 31st. And then shipping takes 2 weeks. So the total wait time for your customers is about 6 weeks. But you also need to factor in potential delays. So let's say that's another week, meaning your pre-orders should ideally open on the 1st or 2nd week of June. You can, however, start capturing waitlist signups at any time before then. When to start depends on how much time and effort you can invest in building hype so you don't miss your customers' buying window. Because your customers are either ready to buy now or they're not. If you miss that window and you haven't captured either a commitment to buy or at least an expression of interest, they're much less likely to convert later. By the time you're ready to launch or ready to sell as usual, they may already have spent their money elsewhere with a competitor. And this is a very common scenario we've heard from our merchants when they say they've only been capturing back in stock email alerts and they haven't opened up pre-orders. Your customers' expectations will affect your pre-order strategy. Depending on what you're launching and who you're selling to, your customers will have different shipping expectations and purchasing behaviors. For example, if you're selling high-ticket items like surfboards, bikes, furniture, mechanical keyboards, your customers are often fine with longer shipping times. Some are even happy to pay in full upfront and wait for more than 6 months if they value the craftsmanship. If you're selling limited edition collectibles, often these are exclusive, right? They're not necessities. So customers are usually willing to wait and prefer all their in-stock and pre-order items to be shipped together. For apparel, customers may still want everything to be shipped together, but they might expect much shorter lead times because they can easily shop elsewhere if they don't want to wait for your pre-order products. Because of these differences, you need to think about your pre-order offer and how it affects your profitability and cash flow. So think about your pre-order offer. Do the incentives match up to your customers' perception of value? Most brands default to offering a monetary discount, right? Dollar off, percentage off, but this can hurt your brand in the long term. And you don't see a lot of people acknowledge this out there. It cheapens your brand and your efforts. You're signaling to your customers that even you don't think your product is worth paying for the full price. So instead, you need to try to find out what your customers will also perceive as value. This could be free shipping, a free gift, exclusive VIP access like joining your customer advisory board to help co-create future products. Or at least if you can't move away from those monetary discounts, pair them with conditional incentives. This means customers need to meet certain purchase conditions before they receive a reward or a discount from you. So examples, spend X dollar to get free shipping. Buy new arrival items or your pre-order items to unlock a discount. Buy 2 items, get 1 free. You've probably seen these before out there. If your product has strong demand, you might not need any discounts at all. Some of our merchants have successfully taken $0 deposit pre-orders as reservations. So simply letting customers reserve an upcoming product, no discounts required. And that's because they have a product with strong demand and a loyal customer base who appreciates the quality and customer service. So my recommendation to you is start learning about consumer behavior. It's one of the most valuable things you can learn to grow your business or if you're working in marketing. Managing your pre-order customer experience. This is one of the biggest reasons why brands are hesitant to run pre-orders, even though they don't want to lose sales to competitors. Who wants that, right? You need to ensure your customers know they've placed a pre-order. So that's obvious, but they need to be reminded afterwards and they need to be kept informed throughout the whole process. You'll be surprised how being transparent can help you avoid a lot of customer complaints and order cancellations. Usually it's not that customers aren't willing to wait for that long shipping time, but it's because they've either skipped reading the product description, they didn't realize it's a pre-order, or they do know it's a pre-order, but after they've placed that pre-order, they have no idea what's going on because you haven't kept them in the loop and you haven't given them a proper explanation when there are shipping delays. So take a look across your entire customer purchase journey and see where it makes sense for you to display or mention the pre-order info, keep them in the loop so you can avoid those complaints. Here are a few other basic things you can do as a start. So edit your order confirmation email. So that's a Shopify native email. You don't need any coding knowledge. You can just go to the settings there and add 1 or 2 lines to clearly state it's a pre-order. Number 2, again, you don't need coding knowledge for this. You just go create and display a collection. Name it as new arrivals or coming soon. House all the pre-order products under there. Number 3, you send regular email updates to your customers to keep them in the loop. So you can mention this either in your general newsletter or if you're able to segment the customer list, you can email them separately. Personally, I would suggest mention that in your general newsletter because who knows, you might even net a few extra pre-orders. Then you can document the journey of making your coming soon product and use that as marketing content, which also serves as a regular update to keep your pre-order customers in the loop. Also, don't forget to edit your buy cart consent and purchase agreement label. So Shopify enforces these 2 labels if you run pre-orders, but the default wording and the messaging they show is designed for deferred payments. So think like deposits or subscriptions, which can easily confuse your customers. Now we have a step-by-step guide, help article to how to edit the text. You don't need any coding knowledge, so I'll put that link in the video description below. Which brings me to the next topic, pre-order messaging. When you run pre-orders, your messaging is more important than you might think. Clarity is everything. Instead of saying pre-orders will ship in August, you can say ships between August 15th and 25th. If anything changes, we'll update you by email. So this sets clear expectations and immediately gives your customers reassurance. Another example, instead of saying pre-order deposit required, you can say pay a 10% deposit to reserve your product today. So this makes it clear what the customer is paying for today and adds perceived value, giving them a reason to take action. If you're using an app like ours, Early Bird, to capture $0 deposits, instead of saying reserve with a $0 deposit, you can say reserve today, pay nothing until we ship. So you can see here, the language you use can make a big difference in how the offer is perceived and how your customer feels about their pre-order experience, which ultimately affects how many pre-orders you'll get. So check out these articles on how to create a Shopify pre-order policy to set clear customer expectations and how to offer a great Shopify pre-order customer experience. I'll link them in the video description below as well. Now let's briefly talk about pre-order compliance and regulations. So the pre-order regulations and customer rights used to be mostly the same between US, Europe, and Australia. The key differences were mostly around return policies and what's required for customer communications. With the introduction of GPSR in Europe though, selling there has become so much more complicated and expensive. It's a complex issue, a whole rabbit hole of its own, but to sum it up briefly, you now need to obtain documentation from your manufacturer showing proof of product safety standards. You must also have a direct contact method for European customers, meaning you need to have an authorized representative physically located in Europe who is responsible for answering all these product safety related questions. I think it's a bit crazy. Like, how can small businesses afford that for something that's not directly generating revenue? Anyhow, I wrote a short blog post on this back in December when many people were asking questions about this, but not many people had answers. I'm sure by now though, you can find a lot more info on the Shopify community forum or Reddit if you search for GPSR. If you're primarily selling in the US and Australia, check out my article for a basic pre-order policy template. I'll link in the video description below. It feels like I'm just jamming all the links there. For pre-order fulfillment, this is something you need to plan ahead and make sure your e-com store is set up to handle it properly. For example, what happens if a customer buys both an in-stock item and a pre-order item in the same transaction? This is what we call a mixed cart. You basically have two options here. So one, you ship the item separately, once for the in-stock item and once for the pre-order item. Or two, you hold the in-stock item and ship it with the pre-order item together. Now by default, if you're on Shopify, as the merchant, you'll have to pay for shipping twice, which eats into your profit margins, and we don't want that, right? So there are two ways to handle this. You can enable Shopify split shipping in checkout feature, which lets you pass that shipping cost on to your customers. They'll see two shipping options and costs at checkout if the items they're buying have different shipping dates, different shipping rates, or are being shipped from different locations. If your customer wants to save on shipping for items with different shipping dates, they might request you hold their in-stock item until their pre-order item arrives and is ready to be dispatched, which you can do so as well. Whether you can enable this split shipping in checkout feature depends on how your Shopify store is set up. I've actually made an in-depth video on this right before this video. It's the last video, and I've also written some help articles on this. So if you're interested, you can find that video on my channel and those articles in our help center. Another aspect to think about is how you distinguish pre-orders from orders that are ready to be dispatched. If you're just starting out, you're a new brand, you're not expecting an overwhelming amount of pre-orders for your first coming soon campaign, you might not need an app to help you automatically tag all the pre-orders. You can just manually tag each pre-order as they come in, and then you can also manually add the order notes if needed. So to make this easier for you to track, you can create a save filter in your Shopify orders admin, so you can quickly view all the orders with the pre-order tag. So first you go to orders in your Shopify admin, and then you click the search and filter button. You add a filter for tags, and then you enter your pre-order tag. And finally, you save this view for easy access. Moving on to the next important topic. So before you run a coming soon campaign, you need to be aware of Shopify's pre-order requirements and limitations. There's actually a whole lot of them that I can't fit in this one video, but the three most important ones you should know are: number one, pre-orders currently only work on Shopify online stores and custom storefronts. Doesn't work officially with point of sale, B2B, and other sales channels like Instagram Shop, TikTok Shop, Google Shopping, etc. So your customers either won't be able to place a pre-order through these channels, or their pre-orders will be treated as an in-stock purchase and the customer won't realize they've placed a pre-order. Number two, Shopify only supports pre-orders through Shopify Payments and PayPal. Customers can't pay with gift cards or store credits, and they can't pay through customized or accelerated checkouts like Shop Pay, Apple Pay, Google Pay, etc. They also can't pay with buy now, pay later. I know that's a whole heap of limitations, although you can use an app like ours to let customers pay in 2 installments. So some of the stores that sell high-ticket items, they do that. So you capture the deposit first and the rest later automatically, but we don't charge you commission fees. Number 3, be aware that you must state an estimated reasonable shipping timeline. So there's a bit of a gray area that Shopify doesn't explain too many details into, but it makes no sense if you tell customers they're pre-ordering for a year ahead because nothing ever takes that long to manufacture. If you're in your design phase, you need to design the product first, then you're better off launching on Kickstarter or Indiegogo just to set the right customer expectations. The longest timeline we've had for a pre-order is about 4 months for a bike. If no date is specified, Shopify will assume you're able to ship it within 30 days of your customer placing that pre-order. And if you don't ship by then, you might run into issues with Shopify blocking your payment gateway, or worse, even closing your store. So I highly recommend you read Shopify's official FAQs about pre-orders so you don't get any surprises after you've launched your coming soon pre-order campaign. Happy to help, happy to answer any questions. If you have, just email us at hello@shopsite.com.au. Now for the last and most important topic in this video, it's also my favorite, marketing your coming soon campaigns. I've learned and realized a lot of the merchants that come to us inquiring about our app, what they actually need is to sort their distribution first before they even think about whether to use a pre-order app or not. Distribution is what makes or breaks your pre-orders. You need to get in front of your potential customers in the right place, with the right product, at the right price, with the right promotion. So fellow marketers watching this will recognize these as the 4 Ps. You can have the most visually stunning pre-order product page, a professional photo shoot, and great apps that all work well together to support your workflow. But without traffic, no one will know about your pre-order campaign. No one even knows you exist. I do consulting besides running our Shopify apps, and here are some recommended readings for anyone working for a brand or building your own. 1000 True Fans by Kevin Kelly. So Kevin Kelly introduces this really cool concept in his article about building a sustainable business with a dedicated audience. If you could get 1,000 people who believe in your mission and they support you by buying $100 worth of your products every year, you'll be earning $100K annually. Of course, it's easier said than done. As you can see, brand appeal and product demand play a huge role here. 19 traction channels. This framework is great for identifying the most effective growth channels for your business. So rather than trying to be everywhere, you focus your efforts on testing just a few channels at a time and see which ones respond to your business growth the best. So in marketing, we have a classic response and we joke about it all the time. We say, it depends. It's true though. While there are best practices, if everyone follows all these best practices, no one's actually really standing out. So the key here is to test and find out what works best for you, your business, and your product launch. Unless people out there are sharing what did not work for them, usually I just take the advice with a pinch of salt. Jobs to be done. This is my favorite framework for understanding customers' motivations beyond just personas and demographics. I've applied this framework in my career at everywhere I've worked at, and it has not failed me every time. So instead of looking at just customer characteristics, Jobs to be done looks at the jobs your customer wants to accomplish using your product. For example, I'm wearing this t-shirt, right? I'm wearing this to express my identity, so it's an emotional job. Or I might be wearing this to stay cool during a hike. That's a functional job. Or I might be wearing this to signal that I'm a part of a group, and that's a social job. I love this framework because it ties back to why understanding consumer behavior is so important. And this is why I enjoy talking to our app users, and I've been answering questions about pre-orders on Reddit, on the forum, and on the internet, and just happy to chat with Shopify merchants in general. The Experience Economy. This book shows you how your business should shift from simply selling products and services to creating memorable experiences for your customers. It shares examples of how companies like Disney, Starbucks, and Lush have mastered this in the modern economy. It's a really good read, so I highly recommend you check this out. Once you've understood the importance of distribution, you should think about the type of coming soon pre-order campaign you're running. Is it going to be a VIP early access? So if you're an established brand, you could run invite-only pre-orders for your most engaged customers. So that could be those with high average order value or high lifetime value, and then you give them early access to your pre-order products. Or is it going to be community driven? So if you already have a huge social media following, or if you're a content creator and influencer launching a product for the very first time, which I've been seeing this trend increasingly, this approach can be very effective. You can gather early feedback from your followers, your community, and then you go co-create that product and let them know that the more people who are buying this, the high MOQs you can meet and helping reduce the cost per unit for everyone. So kind of like a group buy. Founders Editions pre-orders. So if you're a new brand, but you've been showing your face in your social media and building in public, you're a founder-led brand, you can offer exclusive first batches with number units, special packaging, or lifetime access to some exclusive benefits. So this is where Experience Economy works exceptionally well. These perks add higher perceived value to your first customers. Earlier in this video, I briefly touched on conditional incentives for your discounts, right? You can have a think about them and also think about time-sensitive discounts as well. So think about what adds perceived value or a sense of urgency to drive more pre-orders and build hype. So there we go. You're probably like, I know you said this video is going to be long, but this video is very long. I know. I'm actually pretty new to making YouTube videos and this is my longest one ever. So I'm pretty exhausted right now. I do want to thank you for watching this far and I hope you found this informative and useful for your business. We've helped more than hundreds of Shopify merchants run their pre-orders over the last 10 months. I've spent nearly a year deep diving into understanding what's required to run a successful pre-order campaign. And fortunately, I have a marketing background, so it has immensely helped with that. Yes, this was a long video, but you're laying the foundations, you're sharpening the axe before you chop the tree, so that in the next video, when we go through how to set up the coming soon pre-order campaign, everything will be much more efficient and smooth. So I'll see you in part 2.